according to the little thing. And let me give my little disclaimer when it comes to working on vintage electronics. Do not do anything that you're about to see because it involves working with dangerous electronics and you never know what could happen. Anyway, this is a set that was donated to our museum a number of years ago. And I'm trying to remember, I think it might have come from one of our dearly departed members. And it's this beautiful Stuart Warner with a blonde finish and black accents and chrome. And I don't know much about this model or this radio because I've never seen one. Stuart Warner model 91-51. And it came, looks like looks like someone from Stockton had this either serviced or whatever from Klein Radio and TV on Howard. I don't know anything about San Francisco. I'm not sure if that's Howard Street, San Francisco, or because it says Chaz Martin Stockton. That makes me think Stockton, California, which is quite a bit of ways down the road from here. It's like over an hour away. Power cord is, I'm going to take the back off anyway. I am not going to even think about powering this up without at least having a look inside. Number one, I want to see if it's a hot chassis, or number two, it's got a power transformer. I kind of hate the fact that the finish is kind of not great, but it's also not horrible. And that's when I'll have to make a decision about whether I try to salvage the original and repair it. Because, you know, you can't really read. Blonde finishes are a whole different thing, which I have no experience with. Woo. No one's been in here for a real long time. Put these screws somewhere else where I won't lose them. Okay. Let's put this cover aside. Let's see what's going on in here. Power transformer with it's a 5-tube set. 5W4 rectifier, 6K6 output. It's got a this 3-section tube, a 6Q7, a 6K7, and a 688. So from a radio perspective, it's not much to write home about. I don't know what that switch is about. I guess that's local and long distance. And it looks like it all comes out in one piece. So due to the likely rarity of this model, I'm not going to even think about powering it up until I take a look underneath and see what's been done, if anything. If it were just, I don't know, something boring like a Transitone or one of the super common models, it's your call. Sometimes I'll fire them up and I'll watch how much current they draw. But this has a power transformer in it, and that's a whole different ball of wax, because if you bring something like this up excuse me, and there's something horribly wrong, you could hose the power transformer. And this radio looks like they put the absolute tiniest power transformer they could possibly put in it, so it's probably operating on bare margins in the first place. Let me put this aside. someone's been in here, but they've only done minimal work. But there's not much going on in here. You see something like this, you're like, the radio is just basically tubes. Because we have this electrolytic capacitor. There's two of them in here. There's two 8 microfarad capacitors. It's chassis ground. And then we have 1, 2, 3 paper caps with a fourth that's been replaced. 2 mica capacitors. Let me look up here. Speaker's not rubbing. It's been repaired. The tuning condenser still turns. It looks like it's had the what is this going to? Looks like it's had the second IF replaced. It's got a field coil speaker. That's not unusual because I'm guessing this is probably 30s, late 30s, because you've got octal tubes. I'm glad the tuning string is not broken because it looks like it goes through all kinds of crazy moves to get from. Oh, there's another paper capacitor up here, but I'm not. I know that there's no way in hell that I would trust that capacitor is shot. Now here's another thing. Oh, I see. That's negative, and then we have okay, I'm going to have to pull the schematic on this because I can't tell like what is what. These have got to be positive, but we've got 2 positives running together, and it has to have 2 electrolytic capacitors. So let me pull this model up and see if I can find it. Bear with me just a second. I go nostalgia error and go to resources, go to model number, and this is a Stuart Warner. Stuart, where are you, Stuart Warner? QRST, Stuart Warner. Model number 91-15. Hope it's in here. 91, where are you? 91-51. That's not good. It does not, I'm not sure if it's in here. 91, what is it? 91-50, 51. All right, I think I found 91-50, 91-51A. It's going to be close enough. Let's see. Nope, that's not it. Completely different radio. Let me look back here again. 91. If there's any other information inside the cabinet somewhere. 915145151. Says it's a 91514 in the cabinet. So 91514. Okay, let me open it up. Okay, I found the right one. And let's take a look at the schematic. Oh, crap. $1938. That's the year this was made. So that's okay. There's one electrolytic, and we got brown and how does that make any sense? I guess we got a, I can't read this. What does it say? Got one going to the rectifier, which is the brown wire. Where's the rectifier at? Rectifier on the wall. Here it is. And that's coming from there to here to there to rectifier. Yes. Okay, that's correct. Got that. And that's correct. And then we have, come back on here. One goes to chassis, one goes to power transformer, negative. Okay, that's going to power transformer. And the other one goes to chassis ground, which is here. That's chassis ground. That's chassis ground. So we got that, and then the other one. I'm so freaking confused because I'm not an electrical engineer. It looks like somehow. Okay, never mind. Got a B plus and a B minus. And let me just confirm what is what, because the rectifier, this doesn't have any markings on it at all. It just has value. Okay, so that's one. And then the one that goes to the power transformer, this is B minus. And then this is chassis. So, okay, I get it now. Okay, I'm a dumbass. It's early in the morning. So I'll do what the schematic says, which makes perfect sense. We have a B plus and a B minus, which is not unusual for these things. All right. Let me get my capacitors out of here. I keep on getting my stupid head stuck on this thing. Let me get this. All right, so I got these tiny ass little guys. What are they rated at? I can't remember. 450 volts. Perfect. I can stick these. Both positives go here. Of course, I could be completely wrong. That's the exciting part about live radio repair, is that I could be wrong, because I'm going to let y'all in a little secret, which is I'm not really a very good electronics person, because I always sucked at math. And I don't know. I do believe there's such a thing as people have left and right side brains. I have the side of the brain that doesn't work well with practical engineering. Anyway, I'm going to go wet my sponge. I'll be back in just a second. And I need to turn on my soldering iron to warm it up. I don't know why there's socks in my chair. I was sitting on them, and I was like, why does my ass hurt for some weird reason? Guys probably did not need to know that, but whatever. Okay. And I really need to get a new soldering tip because this one's worn out. Should do it today. Anyway, I hope everyone that's on here, how many people are on here? 3. Hope y'all are having a good time, having a good Sunday. Or you're from the other side of the planet. A good evening. or wherever it happens to be, wherever you happen to live. Someone's been in here. Yeah, this is obviously the new IF can that someone stuck in here. Kind of wonder what happened that they had to replace the whole thing like that, because maybe it had a short. Wouldn't be silver mica disease because they put the mica caps outside of them at this era. Silver mica disease. All right. I made sure and soldered those pretty far away from the tube because I don't want that to get overheated. So now it's pretty straightforward. One of these goes to ground, chassis ground, and the other one goes to the transformer. Big whoop-de-doo. And let's see, I'm just going to run a jumper wire from here to there. Easy as apple pie. What I'm really supposed to be doing is working on the house, but I'm not. It's like if I can find an excuse to go work on radios, I'll do that every single time. But I am proud of myself. I cleaned all the cars. I cleaned the bathrooms. Okay, you are going to go to chassis. Don't need that much wire. If you can help not keeping your leads super long, that's not the worst idea. It's a thing that a lot of people that when they first start the hobby, they'll just leave these crazy long leads everywhere for the capacitors, and you can mess up the alignment on your set if you go too hog wild. Hog wild. All right. Go ahead and clip these out of here since they are no longer needed. Okay, now you can run this lead from there to here. Oh, excuse me. Now, I don't know if what I did is absolutely correct, and that's why I'm going to bring it up slowly on a variac so I can measure B plus to see if it's measuring correctly. If I stuck these in backwards, it's a not very good thing. Okay, that guy's out of the picture, but I'm going to leave it upright. Now, I'm not worried about the antenna. And I'm going to bring this up maybe just a couple of volts, maybe like 30 or 40 volts. Well, not close enough. Let me drag it over here. Okay, it's on. Let me measure some stuff. It's only on by about 30 or 40 volts. Okay, that looks pretty good. Check my B. B minus looks good. Okay, it's positively and negatively doing the things I kind of want it to do. So let me bring it up a little more. I can't tell if I've got filament because the tubes are really dirty. Let me measure this again. It's about 50, 60% right now. That looks good. And that looks good. Bring it up the rest of the way.
Your former NFL wide receiver.
All right. Seems like it's going to work, but I'm not going to leave those nasty, gooey capacitors in there. Yeah, I'm just being a little more careful with this one because, again, that cabinet's gorgeous. At least I think it's gorgeous. And if I think it's neat looking, other people, including future potential museum customers, might also think it's cool. Now, these have giant values written on them, 0.02 and 0.1 microfarads. Easy enough. Not that hard. Okay, 0.02. Let's just go into this switch. I wonder if that's a tone control switch. What is that going to? No, it's not a. What is that attached to? Anyway, it's weird. Oh well, it's not that important. Let's attach this new guy in here. It's a 0.02 rated capacitor. This is good because what I really need to do is get back to work on a large stereo that I'm restoring for. I'm doing a little bit of freelance restoration work. Kind of as a possible backup because I'm not sure where AI is going, but it seems like from what little I've played around with it, there's a very real potential that some of the work that I do for a living could be replaced by robots. So I figure AI doesn't know how to repair vintage radios and stereo systems, but I do. So my potentially idiotic plan is to go into freelance vintage electronic repair if AI takes my job, or the technology that's an AI makes my job redundant. I don't know. Interesting new world we're living in where you can pull up a chat bot and say, hello, can you please make me an application or a picture or a video? And it comes back and says yes, and how many, and does it in like a matter of seconds. Things that, as a person who works in the creative industry, would have taken months. Now it can be done in a matter of seconds. And I don't know, the way I look at it is that companies in the business of making money. And if they can save money, they will absolutely, positively do so, even if it means doing away with large chunks of its employees. Yeah, not much going on in this one. Probably because you've got a power transformer, so you don't need near as much filtering and grounding, because the power transformer takes care of a lot of that. Got one last one here. It looks like it's coming off of the output. And what are you? What value are you? 0.006. A strange value. Well, I don't have anything like that, but I do have a 0047, which is close enough. It's interesting what's coming off of the filament. Initially, I was thinking this transformer is a little puny, but actually most of it's kind of recessed under the cabinet, so it's a decent sized power transformer. Stuart Warner made reasonably good product back then. I think Stuart Warner is still around, but I'm not sure what they do these days. I think it might be braking systems. I don't know. It's amazing how many some of the companies that you thought were gone are still around. For example, those of you that, for example, work with Hickok tube testers, they're still around, but they do automotive diagnostic equipment now. They just moved on because wisely they decided that since the entire electronics industry moved away from tube and valve based technology, that the writing was on the wall. Time to move to other stuff. Simpson is still around, and they still make analog meters. Of course, Fluke is still with us. So is Motorola. The one that breaks my heart, the ones that aren't still around are like Zenith, and Zenith isn't around anymore because they had such good patents that LG decided they wanted those patents. Okay. And now that I'm in here, while I'm in here, I'm going to go ahead and clean out the volume control. Boy, is it dirty. I'm going to try it out again, and then I'm going to go outside and blow it off. I'll be back in maybe a minute. I just want to see if this thing still actually works. So I've got my antenna. My pilot light's burned out here. So let me get that replaced while I'm at it. Come on now. All right, there we go.
might not get a chance to catch as many passes as I'm sure he'd like. Well, he's going up against a defense that's given up only 2 touchdowns since Thanksgiving.
I'm Peter Finch. Coming up next, CBS's Face the Nation, KCBS News Time, 9:20. Went back to the office.
It's Peter Finch. He's one of our members.
Because it could be poisonous. We've got, as many poisonous as real good, yummy ones.
Took out 300 over those 10.
Outside, just by buying the
Seems like a happy radio. Tell you what, I will be back in just a minute. I want to take this outside and get all the dust bunnies and crap off of it. And I'm not going to do it in this garage because it'll just make me sneeze. And I've already got allergies aplenty. So anyway, entertain yourselves. I'll be back in just a second. Where my glasses go? There they are. All right, I know it doesn't look that much different, but I got all the loose dust off of it. So now let me clean it up just a little bit. It's not necessary to do this, but I like doing it anyway because it looks better. Arcturus tube. I don't know, every time I hear that word, I think of, I'm not sure if any of you guys remember that group from the 70s called the Fire Sign Theater, and they had this one play or show they did about outer space, and it was Prince Arcturus. I am here. Well, I haven't heard that in 20 years, so I probably don't remember much about that at all. But all right, let me get a damp cloth. There's a lot of dirt. Okay. Anyway, I hope that some of you folks that are in the East Coast are staying warm. I work with a lot of people on the East Coast, and they've just been not super thrilled. It's like this thing sat in a barn. And again, you don't really need to do this. I kind of like doing it because it just makes the whole thing look better. Oh yeah, go ahead. Putting stuff out on the curb. I'm trying to clean out our house a little bit. This lady came by and said, "Can I take it?" It's like, yes, it's free. Kind of a strange position for the output tube, way up here like that. Usually are in the back. Some people will take the chassis completely apart and buff them out and sand them down, and that's okay. But word to the wise, a lot of these chassis were plated with cadmium, and this one's not really that badly corroded, but some of them corrode pretty badly. You'll see maybe a yellowish greenish looking, powdery looking coating on some of the stuff, and usually what I do is I'll just wipe it off with a damp rag and make sure and wash your hands after you work on these things. But if you polish a chassis like this, you're going to get that cadmium airborne unless you keep it wet. And in the end, you're just going to have a shiny chassis that no one's going to see. And unless you put a coating on it, it's going to corrode even quicker, right back and worse to what it was. So my advice, and this is just me, no one's going to see the chassis, but I do like to clean it up a little bit. But buffing it out like that, I don't advise you do that unless you can guarantee that you aren't getting this shit airborne, and also if it's not cadmium. Anyway, now that I've cleaned all the dust and stuff off, I'm going to oil the tuning condenser and anything else that moves, so that when you turn the dial, it moves easier. It'll be easier on the dial strings too. And it'll feel nicer to the end user, as we call them in an industry that I used to be a part of and no longer anymore. End users. All right, it's already moving a lot nicer. Of course, there's a little thing on the side here. It goes underneath too. Yep. Okay, that's pretty nice. Now, while I'm in here, I want to check something else out. And since this is a power transformer set, and the user is essentially electrically isolated from the chassis, it's very easy to add an audio input feature to these, because you don't need to add an isolation transformer. Now, do not, and I'm serious, do not do this on a set that doesn't have a power transformer, because if you do it, you could potentially shock yourself. So let me get the audio cable out. Here we go. Audio cableage. That way, whoever gets this can run their audio from their phones or from some other device, and they can listen to their music or whatever it is they want to listen to versus what happens to be on AM. They can also still listen to AM radio. You can get it both ways. So this has a grommet on this hole right here, and it's right next to the volume control, which is where I want to patch into. Tie a knot. Okay, that's good. That way they can't jerk it out of the set. And they'll get some resistors. I just realized something, that my camera mount is in the way of the drawer that I need to get at. Crap, how aggravating. Hold on a second. Okay. Where are you? There we go. Got one 27 ohm resistor. And oh, don't tell me I'm out of them. Surely. Nope, there's one right there. Another 27 ohm resistor. Now I need to determine what's the top and the bottom of this volume control. Top meaning where is the incoming radio signal. And we got red. The red wire is going to is that 6Q7? 688, 6. Yeah, it's going to 6Q7. Okay, so that indicates to me that orange wire is probably the incoming radio signal versus the stripy wire. Wait a minute. Wait. Okay, let me tug on this a little bit. I'm going to see where this goes. Oh, there's an easy way to find out. And I think that this wire is the incoming radio signal. Now I've got a 50-50 chance of getting it right. So that's not, if this is not correct, then it's going to be the one on the bottom. So I'm going to test and fire this up and see if the radio signal is still coming through. And if it is, then that means I picked the wrong lead. I don't think that was it. Obviously the radio signal is still getting through. So I'll probably accidentally just remove it. I just probably accidentally removed the bottom of the volume connection. Of course I could like save myself some pain by just looking at the schematic, but that's no fun. It's much easier just to guess and be wrong. Come on now, get out of there. I'm prepared to eat my words and for this to also fail. For some reason, I didn't trust my initial instinct, which is it was probably most certainly the red wire. It sure seems like it's going to the right place. Now, let's try that. Wrong. I guess it was that other one. Let me see if I think if I run the signal through, it's probably going to over. That's right. The signal will override. I'm talking to myself. The incoming audio signal that I'm about to inject will override whatever is remaining of the radio signal. So I assumed correctly. It's actually the other connection, and some RF was leaking through, but that's okay because that signal is going to be many, many, many magnitudes less than the audio signal I will bring in. So I'll confirm that by reattaching and detaching the green wire. Okay. Now, so I'm going to put my right and left channels together for my stereo cable, because obviously this ain't stereo by any means. Apparently there's a Super Bowl today, and I didn't know about that until yesterday. And it's happening 45 minutes away from here. I never cared about sports when I was a kid either. Okay, I'm going to strip my wiring down to my right and left channels. There's my grounding wire, grounding cable. Okay, we got all that reconnected, and this ground can go to, tell you what, I'm going to put it right there on just on the chassis. So again, this is a hot chassis. No, scratch that. It's like Willy Wonka said. Scratch that, reverse it. This is a transformer set. And so again, we've got some nice electrical isolation for the user. So I can just run this cable directly to your chassis. Now you cannot do this to a hot chassis or even a floating chassis. The stuff doesn't have a power transformer. You can just get yourself into all kinds of trouble. So like I said, if you don't know what you're doing with this stuff, don't do it. Because there's a lot of things that you can get in trouble with. Okay. I think that is it. Let me get my Bluetooth connected. Where'd my phone go? I can't do this without my phone. Where did it go? Is it under there? Nope, it's up here. Okay. It is connected. Let me get some music going. Let's fire it up. Not very satisfactory results. Now I'm just curious, did I inadvertently, without paying attention, solder? Let's try it down here. No foul trying this out if it doesn't work. And I think I'm going to go to plan B, which is maybe I don't have enough gain off of the input, which means having to run a isolation transformer with a different ratio to boost my signal. Nope. Let's see, where's the output tube again? This is the output tube. What's the grid of the output tube of 6K6? 6K6. 6K6. ABC, ED, G, H, J, K, 6K6. Let's see, what is the grid? The grid is pin number 5. Pin number 5. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That can't be right. Unless I'm reading it wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here. Okay. Just for shits and giggles. Wow. Before I do that, I want to measure just to make sure. I'm pretty certain that's the grid, but if that's not the grid, I don't want hundreds of volts running through my Bluetooth. Nope, there's nothing because that's the grid. Now, let me check. I think this Bluetooth might have had a problem. Let me try another Bluetooth.
Power on. Connected.
Okay, so this stereo Bluetooth has a problem. The other one is fine, so it's not a gain problem, it's a Bluetooth problem. Just a mark. Bad Bluetooth. We solder this back in. Now retest fire, and I think I'm getting hum because maybe the ground needs to go through. Oh, I'll try it. I had a really long lead on it just a second ago. I'm sorry, I'm mumbling to myself. It is Sunday morning. And I'm still not totally awake, but I just felt like coming out here and working on stuff. All right, let's try this out again.
Was a countdown man, used to plow and sing, and he loved the mule, and the mule loved him. When the day got long, as it does about now, I'd hear him singing to his mule and cow, singing, "Come on, my sweet old girl, and I'll bet the whole wide world that we're gonna make it, yeah, to the end of the road." Singing, "Hard times ain't gonna rule my mind. Hard times ain't gonna rule my mind." Bessie, hard times ain't gonna rule my mind no more. Said it's a mean old world, heavy in need, and that big machine, it just keeps picking up speed. Well, we're supping on tears, and we're supping on wine, and we'll all get to heaven in our own sweet time. So come on, you Asheville boys, turn up your old time noise, and keep it till the dust comes up from the cracks in the floor. Singing, "Hard times ain't gonna rule my mind. Brother, hard times ain't gonna rule my mind. Hard times ain't gonna rule my mind."
Seems like it's pretty happy. The transformer is running cool. My B plus voltages look pretty great. The audio is pretty clean. There's a minimal amount of hum. There is always going to be a little bit of hum on these guys, but electrically, I think it's pretty good shape now.
Woke up this morning,
I did forget to replace this one capacitor here. Kind of forgot about that one. I'll do that too.
so come on, you ragtime king.
That is Mavis Staples. And Mavis Staples, I believe, is in her 80s. Now, I am trying to imagine being in my 80s and still being that on top of it. That it's people like that who I really admire. It's people who are that passionate about what they do that it seems like a lot of people like that just live long, healthy lives. And I think it's because you people, if you find a passion that helps you stay driven, you stay active. And a lot of people, when they get older, they don't stay active. They sit around and, I don't know, watch the news. And they make decisions on what they see sometimes. But anyway, all the relatives in my family that lived to be ripe old ages were all people that stayed physically active, even if it was just fiddling, farting around the yard all day. I remember my grandmother was still out using the push mower in her 80s. And it really wasn't that big of a deal to us because she was just a tough old lady. She was the last of a generation in our family who was from, the World War II generation. And so I grew up hearing what their life was like back then, and now that my granddad really didn't talk about it a lot, but it was this glimpse into a time period that increasingly most people haven't had any sort of exposure to. And maybe, if I'm going to take this a little bit further, I'd say maybe it's been too long since Americans have experienced that kind of thing. We take for granted how comparatively good we have had it for a very long time. And all it takes is a person or a few people to say, oh, actually, your life sucks. And it sucks because of those people. Or it sucks because of this, or it sucks because of that. Something that has nothing to do with anything. And sadly, it works. And so here we are. All right, that's the last capacitor. Just make sure that radio still works. And then I'm going to take a look at the cabinet a little bit. It'll probably still work.
Called Love Story, and it defined love this way. Love.
I'll have to put a longer antenna on it. And luckily, I have some vintage looking antenna wire, so I'll add this to it. Let's see. huge difference. Sorry, my head keeps on getting in the way. I have supposedly a GoPro camera in the mail, which keeps on getting delayed. So instead of these, I'm using this shitty no-name Chinese camera, which I don't have a problem with stuff made in China, but whoever made this particular camera, it's not very good. And the description of it online is all lies. Okay, so the radio, as far as the electronics and the cleverly added little Bluetooth feature, let's check this cord here. Let's run it through my hands. Is it flexible? Does it have cuts in it? No, it's actually in good shape. So the radio itself is kind of done. It kind of annoys me that the finish is kind of not in great shape on this. It's frankly kind of hosed. I asked my wife if she could touch up some of these areas, but I'm not sure. She said she likes patina. I think someone repainted the top. Pretty certain of it. I mean, it is what it is. You can't really do anything about it. I mean, that kind of gives me a little more creative license to maybe touch some of this up a little bit. It's already been done. I don't even know who's playing in the Super Bowl today. Probably the usual same exact teams as always plays. Let me guess, it's the New England Patriots against the Chiefs or something. I really don't care. Sometimes I like watching the commercials. That's about it. Spiders and stuff up in there. All right. Ouch. That hurt. Not sure if you heard that. I just whacked the camera with my head. Afraid to touch that finish. I'm going to take that chrome off of there because in that way I can really clean it. And I also want to see if there's evidence of what the finish looked like underneath. originally, because this has been protected from UV. Wow. This thing was gorgeous when it was new. This must have absolutely glowed off of the shelf. Yeah, look at that. That's what it looked like. You can't tell because the camera sucks, but trust me, it looks gorgeous. See if I can get in here. Let's clean it up just a little bit and be careful. It's very, very fragile. Let me get some detergent, a little bit of detergent and some water. Yeah, it's, even though the finish is kind of damaged, it's still, in my opinion, a very pretty piece. And it was sitting out in our sales shed. I was like, we put a lot of fodder out there in the sales shed. I don't think this is fodder. I think this is a beautiful piece. Yeah, you can see when it was new, the finish kind of had a very almost yellowish, well, obviously yellowish blonde color. That's probably about as good as it's going to get as far as cleaning the cabinet before I touch it up. And what I'm going to do is let it dry out. But you guys probably didn't come to watch radios dry. You came to watch them be repaired. Well, you just saw one getting repaired. It's been about an hour and 16 minutes. So I think for this Sunday morning, I'm going to call it a day. I know there's not a lot of, I appreciate you guys tuning in, even though it's been kind of a weird show. And I'm still trying to figure out how to do the live streaming crap. So next project is working on a large Grundig stereo. I'm going to work on that today. And it requires a lot of my concentration, so I can't really sit and totally talk about it. But as film and talk about it and restore it at the same time, because it's also someone else's stereo and not the museum's or mine. So I need to restore the tuner on it. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. And when the new camera comes in, I'm hoping the channel will be a little bit easier to watch. And yeah, you all have a great day too. I'm not, wherever you're tuning in, stay either warm or cool or whatever. Sorry, I'm still tired. I stayed up till 1 o'clock in the morning, and I never stay up because I have to wake up for 5 o'clock in the morning for my job. All right, enough of the rambling. See y'all later. Bye-bye.